ありがとうございます。
Hello recappers and welcome to another video. Don't forget to leave a like to support the channel. Let's jump right in. Michio Kaga starts taking part in a low-cost online game that he thinks is virtual reality. He uses his sword, Durendal, to kill numerous bandits who have invaded the community. The village leader, Somara, rewards him with the loot taken by the bandits. Kaga discovers the world is real when tries to check out and that he must finish the game first. A peasant who tried to steal Kaga's wealth was jailed for life for his crime. Kaga heads to the city of Vale to sell his booty, the thief, and claim the bandit's ransom. He goes there to collect the reward and meets Alan, a slave dealer who buys the thief and lets him know a new labyrinth has been found close by. As Kaga is drawn to the labyrinth, Alan recommends getting a slave, specifically Roxanne. She is a wolfkin, which makes her valuable in battle and ensures that she will be virginal if he wants to exploit her as a sex slave. Kaga, who feels bad for even considering it, is nonetheless mesmerized by the idea of a willing sex slave and Alan's slick sales pitch, leading him to hastily agree to return in 5 days with the nearly 450,000 gold needed to buy Roxanne. Kaga, who is now older and has 5 female slaves, returns to the village where he initially came to life. He hands Mio, a little kid, a scimitar of rage after spotting Mayo. Roxanne asks Kaga about it, but he merely replies that he knew Mayo's father. Kaga has currently sold his wealth but still requires an additional 70,000. He chooses to go into the labyrinth to steal things in order to make money quickly. He conceals his sword Durendal in his character menu and buys a simple scimitar out of concern that it could be too alluring for thieves. He steps into the labyrinth and starts experimenting with the abilities he has learned. After defeating creatures, he realizes that losing magic makes him depressed, so he vows not to use spells until he can replenish his magic supply. He starts out with pitiful stuff. Therefore, to get better loot, he has to fight through increasingly challenging enemies. He nearly perishes after unintentionally running into a monster nest. Only Durendal's magic absorption and health enchantments save him. He returns to Vale after disposing of the nest and discovers that the bandits he killed's companions are nearby. Kaga makes the choice to go after them for the reward. Kaga investigates the slums and learns that some of the city transforms into a red light district after dusk on the theory that robbers would prefer to remain concealed. Kaga manages to track down a bandit and pursue him to their base of operations despite all the diversions. Kaga keeps an eye on the numerous different bandit organizations to study their customs. His landlord tells him that after an important boss was assassinated in an attempt to seize control of his region, bandits started killing one another. The bandits Kaga had murdered earlier belonged to a struggling group that the other bandits had chased from Vale. Kaga moves to buy Roxanne with less than 24 hours left. Kaga infiltrates the headquarters and kills numerous bandits while they sleep, but when other bandits are notified, Kaga is forced to teleport into the labyrinth. When Kaga gets enough money, she buys Roxanne from Alan by trading them for the bounty. Kaga is taken aback when Roxanne apologizes for thinking he wouldn't be able to afford her. Roxanne is relieved to have an owner now that the slave contract is in place and Kaga can unwind knowing he was successful in purchasing her. Kaga may get a bigger room thanks to his additional cash. Kaga notices Roxanne is visibly anxious and fears the idea of her sharing a bed spooked her. He later realizes he accidentally booked a room with a double bed rather than 2 single beds. He is able to reassure her that, in addition to wanting to share a bed with her, he really just wants her to go into the maze with him as a combatant. They return to their hotel after buying all of Roxanne's adventuring supplies, including underpants. Roxanne demonstrates her skill in fixing and maintaining machinery, but as night falls, they both become more anxious. Kaga can't help but stare at and touch Roxanne's body, but he feels awful about it afterwards. Despite their embarrassment, they are able to wash each other's backs, shampoo each other's hair, and clean Roxanne's tail. Finally, they get into bed together and engage in sexual activity while making sure Roxanne is having as much fun as they are. Roxanne kisses him the following morning, but Kaga believes she only did so because he requested her to before they went to sleep. In any case, Kaga decides to start their first journey through the maze. Roxanne responds to Kaga's inquiry on how to upgrade his gear with skills by instructing him to seek a rare monster skill crystal and how to blacksmith bond it to it. Unfortunately, only dwarves possess the skill of a blacksmith and they are frequently unreliable. Kaga makes the decision to add a reliable dwarf to the group. Kaga discovers inside the labyrinth that it can take months to create a magic crystal that can be filled with monster magic and sold for enormous sums of money. Kaga discovers that although 2 empty crystals may store the magic of 1,000,000 monsters, most people only sell them after 100,000. The first floor is actually the lowest and the toughest creatures are on the upper floors, he learns, because labyrinths are alive and develop upward. Kaga makes the decision that he needs spells with various targets. Kaga and Roxanne both become monks by killing a monster with their bare hands since they also need healing spells. They do their custom of bathing one another before making love at night. The following day, they find the boss monster's room on the first level and go there to take it out. Roxanne takes up a healing leaf that the tree-type boss dropped after being defeated, earning the title Herbalist. They are given entry to floor 2 for defeating the boss, but Kaga also wants the Herbalist title, so they go back to the first floor to battle the boss once more. Kaga can make health potions using the medicinal leaf thanks to the Herbalist title. Kaga observes a bandit observing Alan's trading establishment as he enters the city and alerts him, asserting that the thief was actually a bandit the entire time and that the individuals who bought him were members of his gang. Alan reveals that he recently sold the thief that Kaga had sold to him, but he was bought by men who appeared to be dangerous. Alan believes the burglar was instructed to wait until everyone was fast asleep before opening the door and letting the robbers inside because he is still inside the trade house. Roxanne remembers Alan's past slaves with affection, so Kaga asks to be employed as a bodyguard. Roxanne and Kaga spend the evening in bed before going back to the trading post at night to team up with Alan's battle slaves to trap the robbers. The thieves are caught in the ambush. Kaga detects the thief and uses unorthodox magic to try to catch him. A self-destruct orb the thief was carrying explodes when he casts the spell Equivalent Exchange. Alan thanks Kaga for defending his business. When Kaga enters the labyrinth to collect magic from monsters, since she is almost out of magic, she discovers that utilizing Equivalent Exchange unlocks the mage title. When a chance arises, he decides to purchase a staff, but he unexpectedly discovers the boss chamber on the second floor where a huge caterpillar is present. Roxanne and he rapidly destroy it. When they enter the third floor, they discover kobolds to be the new monsters. In order to be able to teleport himself and Roxanne there for free in the future, Kaga returns to the surface and employs a magician to teleport him to Imperial City and subsequently to Kuritar. They unwind once more that evening. Kaga resolves to purchase a home so Roxanne won't have to put up with living in bars any longer. When Kaga teleports to Kuritar, he discovers that travelers must pay a fee each time they enter the labyrinth, until Roxanne reveals that they can covertly teleport within for no cost. Kaga decides to relocate in a tiny remote town outside of Kuritar after buying a wand and starting to explore for places to rent in the city. They are able to locate and lease a sizable home with a flushing toilet that is pretty close to the labyrinth thanks to Roxanne's knowledge. And they even receive a rent break because of the neglected garden and an odd stone room that the previous tenant had illegally added. Kaga uses his wand to slay a monster as they make their way through the Veil Maze. They spend their last night in the first room they rented together since their new house won't have furniture until it is delivered the following day. Kaga visits Kuritar's labyrinth as Roxanne starts cleaning the house. He must pay the entrance fee and instantly teleport back home because he cannot teleport inside the labyrinth without having done so once before. Kaga is dissatisfied that there will be more rivalry for monsters and treasure in Kuritar's maze than in Veils because there are more knights, explorers, and adventurers there. Kaga and Roxanne spend their first night together in their new house after the delivery of their furniture. Despite the crowding, Kaga finds that no one has ever successfully navigated the entire Kuritar maze. The highest floor ever reached was the 91st. Kaga and Roxanne teleport home after Kaga is disappointed by how frail the first boss creature is. They decide to start tending the neglected garden in an effort to lift his depression. Kaga discovers an extra-large tub might be used as an indoor bath in the stone chamber, which he intends to share with Roxanne while looking for a clothes-washing tub. They can teleport to higher floors as they keep climbing them without having to start at the bottom each time. The boss monsters get tougher and tougher until one of them can truly hurt them with his special magic skill. Kaga acknowledges that he unintentionally relaxed and put Roxanne and himself in danger. Later, the bathtub is delivered, allowing Kaga to teach Roxanne how to bathe. They also make love, which is made more exciting by Kaga's invention of soap. Kaga says they urgently need another warrior in their party as Roxanne sleeps because she feels bad about letting her get hurt by the previous boss monster. Kaga starts pursuing monster rabbits after realizing how much closed shops are ready to pay for their skins. When Kaga and Roxanne reach the 7th floor monster, they discover that it is a rapid rabbit that drops high-quality meat as loot, which Roxanne prepares into a delicious meal. They decide to defeat the rapid rabbit once more but run upon another explorer who has spent years on floor 6, getting ready to battle the rapid rabbit. Sadly, the rapid rabbit ends his life. This has a profound impact on Kaga, who struggles to accept the idea that one day he or Roxanne might join the countless adventurers who perish in labyrinths. After Roxanne comforts him all night, he decides to overcome his despair. They market their rabbit skins and Kaga buys Roxanne's silk camisoles. Kaga's finger gets broken by a bull monster on the 7th floor, and even though he heals it with magic, he is once more horrified by how terrible the labyrinth is getting. He introduces Roxanne to oral sex when she is taking a bath. The following day, Roxanne discovers a monster has finally dropped a skill stone, a type of prize utilized by dwarven blacksmiths to give weapons magical abilities. To ensure Roxanne's release after his passing, Kaga makes the decision to draft his last will and testament. Roxanne declines because she believes that if he dies, she would have failed and would rather pass away herself. Kaiva comes to see Alan in an effort to get a slave dwarf skilled in blacksmithing. Sherry, a 16-year-old dwarf slave who is the only slave Alan has, is neither a blacksmith nor a fighter. Sherry explains that despite having reached Explorer level 10, the standard criterion for obtaining the blacksmith skill, the skill never materialized. But Sherry earnestly begs Kaga to buy her. Sherry's short ears and dwarven age indicator are noticed by Roxanne. Although Sherry is truly 16 years old, Alan informs Kaga that is a birth condition and agrees to reduce the asking price. Roxanne gives her blessing for Kaga to buy Sherry, although he is unsure whether Roxanne seems jealous or not. Sherry will try out different skill combinations in the hopes of unlocking her blacksmith skill, so Kaga equips her with a hammer as her first weapon. Sherry is astounded by Kaga's use of magic, particularly his teleport spell and his treatment of his slaves as equals rather than as property. Sherry decides to use a wooden club, which Kaga observes has a skill slot. He's shocked that nobody else can see skill slots. During dinner, Kaga almost feeds Sherry first, but decides against it after Roxanne gives him a death gaze. He's astonished to see that while blacksmith is a title unique to the dwarf species, sex maniac is the only title exclusive to humans. Later, while taking a bath, Roxanne shows Sherry how to use their breasts to clean Kaga's body. When it's time for bed, Kaga makes another error by kissing Roxanne before Sherry. He can justifiably kiss Roxanne in second thanks to his smart thinking, and she agrees. Kaga enjoys sex with Roxanne first as Sherry watches, having learned his lesson. Sherry's comfort is important to Kaga as he steals her virginity, and Roxanne assists in a threesome. Kaga has unlocked a sex maniac title this morning, and he is pleased with how much it boosts his magic, stamina, and intelligence. Kaga decides to make the most of his new position by establishing a harem and hiring 3 additional slaves: Miria the Catkin, Vesta the Dragonkin, and Rutina the Elf.